So recently, I got myself an iOS 7 iPhone 5S, and I attempted to jailbreak it in my last video, but I could never get this thing to jailbreak with Evasion 7. So I found out that there is a method called the bootstrap method, where you can jailbreak this thing from that SSH RAM disk. So today, we're going to attempt that. Now, I'm going to be using the guide directly from the dev, Luke ZGD on Reddit, and he is the dev of Legacy iOS Kit. So I will have his guide for this in the description, and don't use this video as a tutorial. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is run Legacy iOS Kit by dragging restore.sh into the terminal. It's probably going to prompt me to update, so I'm just going to hit yes, and it's now going to do its thing. Okay, I am now going to drag restore.sh back into the terminal. Here is where I will go to useful utilities, and I will go to SSH RAM disk. I'm just going to use the default one. I don't think I need to use iOS 7 or 8. There's a good chance it doesn't boot, and we'll have to boot with that one, but it's whatever. So we're just going to go boot up the iOS 12 RAM disk. Okay, I'm going to send this device to recovery mode, so I'm just gonna hit enter on that script right there, and it will now pop into recovery mode in a second. Okay, now it's popped in recovery mode, so the next step is to put it into DFU mode, which is not hard whatsoever. So I'm just gonna do this top and home button for about 8-ish seconds, let go of the top button, keep holding the home button for another 8-ish seconds. It looks like it successfully pwned it. We'll have to see what goes on here. And it's now going to try to boot the SSH RAM disk here. Okay, so we're going to do erase all for iOS 7 and 8. Okay, so I'm just going to hit yes, and when it boots back up, I believe I have to, okay, I guess it didn't boot because it's iOS 7, so I have to boot a RAM disk again, which is very annoying. I have to boot the iOS 7 RAM disk, I think, so I'm just gonna go to SSH RAM disk. I'm gonna say no to go into iOS 7's RAM disk, so no, and it's now going to boot the iOS 7 RAM disk. I think next time I'm just gonna use the iOS 7 and 8 RAM disk if that's possible, so yeah. Okay, next up is put this into DFU mode, so we know what the drill is. Yeah, it looks like I can just do all the same things from here, so I'm just gonna hit reboot on the device, and I'm now going to attempt to boot back into iOS 7 here. So it seems like there's another black screen, which is not a very good sign. Let's try to exit recovery mode here. That's not good. Okay, in a last Hail Mary, I'm going to try to boot iOS 8's RAM disk again and try to do the same thing I just did a second ago. Okay, I don't even know what's going on. I'm gonna try to hit reboot. We got in recovery. That is a very good sign. Okay. Exit recovery mode. Let's see if we boot. Okay, looks like we're booting. No, I think we're good. Okay, I just attempt to do a reset. I just put it in wrong once, and it looks like it's boot looping. I don't know what's happening. Oh, wait, never mind. There's the bar that's erasing. Okay, that's good. I thought we were boot looping. Okay, it's reset now. Okay, the next step is to boot another RAM disk. So this time, I think I'm just going to try to boot iOS 7's RAM disk instead, but yeah. Okay, so useful utilities, SSH RAM disk. I'm gonna say no this time just because I want a chance that it boots after, but okay, so I'm going to send the device to recovery mode. I'm now going to put it back into DFU mode. So let's do the same steps I did a second ago. Yeah, because I let go of the power button on accident, so that was what happened there. So I'm just going to go back into the script again. I'm going to go back to useful utilities. I'm going to boot the SSH RAM disk again. I think we should just do the iOS 12 one. Who cares? I mean, it's probably not going to boot again after trying it, but I think I can just boot iOS 7's RAM disk after and try to boot again. This is very convoluted, and I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so let's put this back into DFU mode and try to actually get it right this time. Okay, we're in Pwn DFU mode. Okay, so now we're gonna do the install bootstrap option. Okay, after a very scary reading there, let's hit yes. And it's now going to try to install Cydia. Okay, and then the next step is just install the untether. So, make sure that Bootstrap is already installed. Doesn't install the untether, make sure Bootstrap is already installed. Do not continue if the device is not on iOS 7. Okay, I'm just gonna hit yes and hope it goes well. Cydia will move some components to the data partition on its first run. This frees up more space for installing tweaks. However, this option is unstable and can lead to boot loop issues. This option is disabled by default, and disable this option if unsure. Okay, I'm just gonna hit no. I don't know why Legacy iOS Kit bugs out and like puts the thing up there, so I'm gonna hit no. Okay, and now we're just gonna try to do a reboot right here. And it's not gonna boot the first time, I don't think, unless we get very lucky. No, it didn't. Okay, so now we're gonna have to go boot the iOS 7 RAM disk or iOS 8 RAM disk or whatever. Hopefully that goes well. So let me go back here, useful utilities, SSH RAM disk, no. Okay, it's gonna boot that up again. Okay, so let's put this into DFU mode here. So, yes, and this is kind of hard to tell whether this even goes into DFU mode or not because this is just on a black screen, but it looks like we did this time, so we'll have to see. what goes on here. And there's a good chance I might have to boot this RAM disk a second time like we did the other time, and it boots into like a specific thing where it fixes iOS 7 or whatever. So we'll see what goes on here. May need to unplug and replug your device. I'm gonna do that, I think. Okay, reboot device. And let's see if it boots into recovery, which is what we want. Okay, it did. All right, that did not go terribly, I don't think. Let's try this again. Let's go exit recovery mode and see if it boots. And if this boots, we should have a jailbroken iOS 7 iPhone 5S. So let's see what goes on here. Okay, it looks like it's doing its jailbreak thing. So I'm actually going to leave this right here to show you what it does, so you can see. It's now going to try to boot. Okay, it looks like we booted into the iOS 7 setup screen, which is what we want to see. So let's set up iOS 7, shall we? So let's set up iOS 7. I'm gonna select my country and region, put on my Wi-Fi network, just activate this. I'm gonna disable location services as always, set up this new iPhone, skip this step. I'm gonna leave Touch ID off for now, just because I'm not worried about that right now. I'm worried about whether this thing jailbreaks or not. Don't add passcode. Use Siri, don't send, get started. And I think it may take a bit for Cydia to show up, just based on what I've heard about how this works specifically. So like, I'm going to try this and see if it boots from this way, because I know that may work, but it doesn't look like Cydia's installed yet. So I'm just gonna leave it. Okay, so I'm now attempting a reboot from iPhone box, so we'll see what goes on here. Well, I don't see Cydia. And in iPhone box, it comes up as jailed, so it's not jailbroken. I don't really know what to do here. I asked a couple people and they say it may take a little bit for it to actually show up. So I'm just gonna leave this to sit for maybe a couple hours and see if Cydia comes up or not, but yeah. In the guide I'm following, it does not show how long this should take. So I'm just gonna leave this to sit for a while, maybe a couple hours, and we'll see if it has Cydia or not. Okay, so Cydia never showed up. So what I ended up doing is I made an issue under Legacy iOS Kit, and the dev, Luke ZGD, told me I should try changing the device language / region to see if that triggers UI cache, because refreshing the UI cache must be run, of course. So yeah, I tried that. That really didn't do anything. So what he ended up doing was adding a new feature where you can install Open SSH from RAM disk. So I think I'm going to try this next, as I haven't done this, and it looked like it was broken for a second, and he looks like he fixed it. So yeah, I'm gonna go give this a try. So of course, as usual, let's boot up a Legacy iOS kit, and before I actually run the script, I have to plug this right into the computer. So okay, now it's going. Okay, so hit enter here, hit yes. Okay, it's now updated, so I'm just gonna go in here. I'm gonna go to restart.sh, hit enter on this. Okay, so I'm now going to go boot the iOS 12 RAM disk. So SSH RAM disk. I'm just gonna hit yes, so I boot the iOS 12 one. Okay, we're now going to send the device to recovery mode. So it's now going to do that. We're now going to put the device into DFU mode. So I'm going to do this. It's now going to do its thing here. Okay, so we're now going to connect to SSH, and I'm going to go copy and paste these commands. Mount _ HFS. Actually, I may have to do this all at once. So let me see if that really does anything. So mount _ HFS /dev/disk 0s1s1 /mountain1. Let me try this again. Okay, I'm going to copy every single one of those. Cannot create property for rekey environment check, no such file or directory. Error on mount, error 1, resource busy. Weird. Okay, just had it exit to that, and it looks like I just got the same error, which is weird. I'm just gonna copy it directly from the GitHub issue to see if that does anything, because I am just reading it off another monitor. So let's see if this does anything different. So I'm just gonna paste this in. Resource busy. It just says cannot create rekey environment checks, no such file or directory. Weird. I may break the device by doing this, but we're just gonna go right here. Okay, I don't think it's mounted, so I'm gonna say no. It's not mounting. I don't know why. I'm just gonna try a reboot and then boot right back into RAM disk to see if that makes any difference, because I know this is not going to boot, as this is of course the iOS 7.1. So yeah, you can see it didn't do anything. So let me run the RAM disk again and just see if I get any different result, because it didn't look like it mounted the first time, which was very weird. So let's try this again. So restart.sh. All right, I'm just going to go to useful utilities, SSH RAM disk. Yes. All right, it's going to boot now. Okay, so I booted it again, and I'm just going to go try the same exact process I just did a second ago. So I'm gonna copy this command here, go back to SSH, paste the command, see if I get anywhere. Could not create property for rekey environment. Check no such file or directory. The only thing that I could maybe think why it's not doing this is because this may not need a space there or something. So I'm gonna try that. So I'm just gonna put like no space in between whatever command that is and mount one. Okay, so I'm gonna try that. It looks like it mounted, I don't know. So I put it into ChatGPT because I'm recorded with SSH and it looks like it did mount just based on what I got. So yeah, so I believe to get back to the menu I can just hit exit. Okay, and now I'm just gonna try installing OpenSSH for iOS 10 and lower. Okay, I believe it's already mounted just based on what I saw here. Shows Cydia, no stash, dev, evasion 7, stuff like that. So I'm just gonna go down here. I'm gonna hit yes. Okay, looks like it's been added. So the next step, according to Luke ZGD, of course, is to go give this thing a reboot. And I have to go boot iOS 8's RAM disk. I wasn't paying attention, but I don't really see anything at all. I didn't even see like the white boot screen. So I don't know, maybe I'm just not paying attention. So let's see what goes on here. So SSH RAM disk, I'm gonna hit no so I can boot into iOS 7's and 8's RAM disk. So no. All right, let's see if we get anywhere. Okay, so I'm now going to attempt to put this into DFU mode and I'll come back to you. Okay, apparently I can just run UI cache from the actual useful utilities, and this is just to reboot from here. Let's see if we go anywhere. Okay, we're in recovery mode, so that is a very good sign, of course. So we're gonna go drag and restart.sh and try to exit recovery mode and hope that this thing isn't bricked. Sounds like it's booting as far as I can see, so let's see what goes on. Okay, so I'm now going to drag restart.sh back into terminal here. I'm now going to go to useful utilities, run UI cache. Okay, so I'm just gonna hit yes, enter the root password, which is ALPINE. Okay, looks like it ran UI cache. I don't see it on the home screen, or Cydia on the home screen, so I'm just gonna try Cydia : // that didn't do anything. It's not doing anything. I'm going to give this a reboot and see if we get anything different here, just in case that makes any difference. So all right, let's see if we get anywhere. Guess what, guys? I rebooted and we have Cydia. Oh my god, we did it. Let's go. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to go into a browser, of course, put in tls root.lit.ca. I'm gonna get the signed iOS bundle for iOS 5 plus. There's also a good chance that this date is off and that's why it's doing this. Oh no, it's working. Okay, we got Cydia up and running, thank lord. Okay, confirm, return to Cydia, and there we go, guys. We are done and jailbroken on this iOS 7 iPhone 5s. I am pretty happy about this, of course, as I do want to install Flappy Bird and stuff like that just because it's iOS 7. So that is a big win. Just to lock in the fact that we did that, I'm gonna give this one last reboot just in case. Okay, let's see what it does. Guess what? Cydia is working and we are all good. So yeah, if you enjoyed this absolute roller coaster of a video, please consider leaving a like, subscribing with notifications on, and sharing this to someone that may also find this interesting. Big thanks to Luke ZGD for even like taking a look at my GitHub issue and fixing this, as this worked completely flawlessly, of course. And yeah, check out my social media accounts, which will be in the description and in the end card. And yeah, this has been Derek from CertifiedLegacy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.